Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to my cozy little corner of the writing world. In today's video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my work in progress, my cozy fantasy novel, and we are going to be discussing the soft magic system, which is based on crystals. So if you are into all things quartz, amethyst, garnet, sapphire, you are going to love this video and this magic system. So let's dive into it. Before we start, if you are brand new here, my name is Melanie Steele and I am the author of 3 non-fiction books all about cozy living, and I'm currently writing my first novel, which is a cozy fantasy for millennial women who never stopped believing in magic. So you're probably wondering, why crystals? Why did you pick that for your magic system? Primarily because I'm a teeny tiny bit obsessed with all things crystals. I just think they're absolutely beautiful and amazing, and that they have all kinds of properties that can benefit us in our life. But my reason for choosing crystals was because, one, it's something that's very visceral. It's something that exists in our world. It's something that people are familiar with, even if they don't know too much about it. If you ask someone, what's a sapphire? They can probably answer that question, right? So it had a kind of familiarity already in our world, but it means so much more. And there is so much more magic with crystals in the world that I am creating. My other reason was the fact that this being a cozy fantasy novel, i.e. a fantasy where the conflict is not life or death, the magic system had to be something that felt gentler and more soft, and less kind of fantastical in the sense that we would expect from things have much more conflict within the story. So kind of crystals having a kind of magical power, that to me felt a much more gentle and soft kind of power and magic for my world. It is also not the only magical system that exists within my world, because I'm extra and there are actually 2 different kinds of magic system. The other magic system is elemental magic, and again it kind of has that, it's grounded in realism. Obviously we are all familiar with the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and it is quite a common magic system across various novels, TV shows, movies, etc. And again, it felt kind of very gentle, it felt accessible, and something that we all have a familiarity with. So it kind of invites the reader, you, into a world where you have some semblance of what is being talked about, but it is expressed in a way that is obviously nothing like what happens in our real world. It is going to be gorgeous and so atmospheric, charismatic, all of the things. It is going to feel absolutely magical. So how does the magic work exactly in the world that I'm creating? Well, on a very special birthday, when you are living in Quartz Falls, you basically go through a very special ceremony, and that is when you receive a specific crystal that is tied to you, your personality, and your destiny. So everyone has their own specific crystal, and from that very much plays a very key part in where their life is going to go, the kind of profession they're going to enter, and things like that. And of course it means at this point, once they receive their crystal, they are able to access the magic of that crystal. Prior to this, the only kind of magic that they have access to is elemental magic. So that allows them to engage in kind of smaller, gentler, more everyday type of magic. But essentially the crystal magic is where the real power lies. Or does it? Obviously, this book is not yet out yet, so I'm not going to be sharing everything about how this magic works, but I just wanted to give you a little insight. Now, the majority of crystals that the residents of Quartz Falls receive are ones that we would very much find in our world. For example, amethyst, rose quartz, aventurin, all of the kind of crystals we are familiar with. However, for my lead character Esme, I thought it would be super fun to create a crystal that does not exist in our world and just add to that kind of magic and wonder of the story with a crystal that I could design completely from scratch in my mind and decide the kind of magic they would hold, which is obviously a little bit different for our protagonist than it is for everyone else in the Quartz Walls, because of course our protagonist is a chosen one and thus they get an extra special crystal and that will aid them in their journey. So that is why the title of this book is The Lunar Quartz Library, because lunar quartz is the crystal that is held by my protagonist once she is in Quartz Falls, and it has all kinds of magical powers that we do not find in anyone else's crystal. So it is super fun to be able to come up with all these ideas, what this crystal could do, what it couldn't do, and also why it can do all of those things. So I had a lot of fun kind of journaling and thinking about what is the nature of this crystal, what does it look like, what is it going to do, why have this crystal and not one that already exists. So that was super fun to kind of journal and think about, and also deciding how this crystal looks. That was my favorite part. I went through lots of different pictures of crystals and specifically quartz, because obviously there are multiple varieties of quartz, and kind of deciding on how my crystal would look, that it still belonged in the quartz family but it looked different enough to be just that little bit extra magical. And of course the crystals and the magic they hold is a very important part of the world building. For me, the magic in this world had to feel natural and organic and very kind of soft. If you're not familiar, there are basically two different kinds of magic system that are generally found in fantasy novels. There are both soft systems and hard systems. I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but if you go check out Brandon Sanderson's YouTube channel, he has some fantastic videos explaining this in a level of detail only Brandon Sanderson could ever go in. So yeah, if you're interested in what is the difference between a soft magic system and a hard magic system, go search for him and go watch that lecture. It is super interesting, but it is super detailed, just to forewarn you. So yeah, it had to feel very soft and organic. I didn't want a system with tons and tons of rules. It just had to feel very much like it came from the heart and with a certain level of intention by its user, because that just made much more sense, especially given that it is a secondary system to the kind of elements and the elemental magic in this book, which also focused on connection between the magic user and that particular element as well. That was also fun to come up with, because obviously there are so many examples, as I previously mentioned, of different books, TV shows and movies that use elemental magic. The one that comes to mind for me is Avatar, The Last Airbender. Specifically the most recent series for me, I think. I really enjoyed watching that. The animated series, absolutely fantastic. We don't talk about the first film. No, we don't talk about that. But if you're not familiar with it, basically Aang, the last avatar, has to learn all of the other kinds of elemental magic. Air magic is the kind of system that he is born with and he knows how to do and he has mastered. But in order to become the last avatar, who basically always has control of all the elements, he has to go and learn how to do earth magic, water magic, fire magic. Did I say all of them? All the magics basically, and each season basically goes through him traveling to a particular area of the world that it takes place in to learn a particular kind of magic. And I really like the idea of having to kind of learn each elemental kind of magic rather than just it being, I already know how to do this, because whilst I wanted it to feel intuitive, I didn't want it to be instant magic. Don't get me wrong, I kind of love a bit of instant magic, particularly like sort of film and TV, the classic Sabrina with her finger. changing her outfits on a whim, imagining things and coming true, though of course always with comedic consequences. Like, this magic can be super fun, but I wanted there to be an element of having to learn and master this magic to kind of make it feel a little more real, a little more grounded, and also to increase the stakes of the novel. Because if you just go into this magical world and within a second you can do all the magic, it feels a bit flat. There's not enough kind of drama there, and it just feels too instant. And I've read things that have felt like that, and I don't know, I feel a bit cheated. It's like, yeah, it's super easy, but also it's too easy. We have to strike a balance. So yeah, there is a certain amount of learning involved with the elemental magic, and then obviously with the crystal magic it is also very intuitive. So even though perhaps it's a little less rigid, so perhaps the learning curve for the crystal magic is a little different to the elemental magic, as you will see. They are both still very intuitive magic systems, and they to me both feel kind of very soft and magical, and that is the vibe of this book. Another fun thing that I have built into this book is about how each of the characters carries their crystal with them. After all, it's no good having a crystal, needing its magic and realizing you left it at home that day or something to that effect. So I kind of spent a lot of time thinking, how would the crystal kind of integrate with each character? Would everyone just have it, for example, as a pendant necklace? Would people just carry it in their pocket? How was it going to be that each character could have access to their crystal all times? So what I decided, because this is my world and I get to make the rules, is that basically, and this will be a spoiler for the book, so if you're not interested in receiving any kind of mini spoiler, you might want to skip ahead. So in my book, when each character receives their crystal on their very special birthday, they are then invited to decide how that crystal is going to become a part of them. So what I mean by that is that some people do choose just to simply have it as a pendant necklace, but not everyone. For example, there is a character who I shall not name, keep this not too many spoilers, who has the crystal in a very beautiful hair comb. Thus, if they ever need it, they just have it in the hair, they can pull it out and it is there to use. I just thought it'd be really fun if people could have these crystals and kind of express themselves with this crystal too, as some form of accessory or adornment that basically kind of fit them as a person, as opposed to just having to carry around this crystal in your back pocket all the time. So yeah, kind of having the magic of the crystals and also being able to wear it in a way that reflects them and who they are as a character, I thought was a really fun way to add another little layer of magic into this book. And again, it was super fun deciding who would have what kind of crystal accessory, if you will. And I hope that is an element of this book that you will also all enjoy. I think one of the most important things that Brandon Sanderson said during this world building lecture that I watched here on YouTube was this: world building should be in service to your story. What he meant by that is that the world building should not distract from the story. The world building should allow the story to come to life. It should support the story. It shouldn't be the pinnacle of it. It shouldn't be nothing but world building. World building basically comes second to the story. Essentially, when I was creating this world, even before we got to the part about magic and crystals, I had to think about how the world I was building was going to support the story. Essentially, this is very much a story about having to find yourself a little bit later on in life, about learning how to kind of learn and trust to work with other people, about really digging down deep and finding that ability to believe in yourself and to be confident in who you are. So this is a very internal, emotional story. This is very much about the kind of complexity of emotions, and thus the world that I was building had to support that. And one of the most important decisions that I made was that in order for a character such as my protagonist to learn really about who they are and what they're capable of, they had to experience something that was difficult, that would put them to the test, but obviously not so difficult that they throw in the towel and give up. So that was a important part of when I was writing, first of all, the elemental magic, as I've said, and the fact that one has to learn the magic, to study and to practice. It kind of got my protagonist Esme into the mindset of, I need to study, I need to work hard, I need to learn how to do this. And of course she has many failures because, well, everyone fails at the first thing they try, right? No one masters anything like that in their life. So this kind of having to really dig down deep and to keep going, even though she feels like she's failing over and over. It kind of sets the stage for her emotional journey and her character arc over the course of the book. And of course the crystal magic also serves a similar function, and that she kind of has to learn how to use that as well. But of course learning how to use the crystal magic is different from the elemental magic. Learning elemental magic is a much more kind of school study type learning experience, is how I would put it. But learning crystal magic is much more kind of intuitive and less scholarly. So she has that to learn as well once she has mastered the elemental magic. So yeah, this world is basically helping her to get prepared for what is to come, and it's helping her to learn how to trust herself, how to connect with other people, how to connect with herself and know what she wants, and to have the courage to go for it. So there you have it, a behind the scenes sneak peek into my magic system and world building, with as few spoilers as I can get away with, because obviously the book is still very much being written, but I thought it would just be super fun to share how I've been building this world, the magic system I chose, why I chose it, and to kind of share these ideas of how the world I'm building very much helps my character to progress as the story goes on. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I post videos at least twice a week here on YouTube, one of which is a vlog where you can follow me around in my daily life, and the other is typically a sit down video like this where I'm talking to you about my book, sharing tips on writing, or just having cozy chats, because those are always fun and some of my favorite ones to film. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and leave me a comment down below about which part of this magic system I've devised you're the most excited about. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.